Hey, Monique, how are you?
Couldn't be better, Paul.
Good
I'm
to see you.
great. I'm so glad to be back. Every week I look forward to this. It's just a phenomenal program we have here and what we have to offer.
Yeah,
So glad I'm part of it.
absolutely. I'm just going to remind viewers, if you'd like to put a comment in the box so we know we're live and we're not just talking to ourselves. Hey, Monique.
Yeah, true enough.
I've got nobody yet, so I'm kind of. It's always a worry with Facebook and going across so many different platforms. If we're not going live, we've got 17 at the moment and no comments. Please say hello, guys. That'll be great. Hi, Bridget. Hello. I think, Bridget, are you in Florida? But if you're in Florida or the US, hello to the US. Everybody out in the USA. Hi, Carol. And I've got, that's brilliant. People are coming on. Hi, guys. Great to see you. So tonight we've got a little bit of a different session tonight because it's a recording. And it's been, hi, Stacey and Bridget again. Oh, you're in California. Brilliant. Hi, Paul, as well. Hello to Paul and Lou. So getting back to the program, we've got a really great guest tonight, Monique, and we should tell the viewers actually why we're doing what we're doing tonight, as it was a recording. And basically, you're 9 hours behind UK time?
Don't ask me to calculate it right now, but I could tell you you're 7 at night and 8 at night, and I'm noon. I'm noon in Vancouver, yeah. And so Christine's in Australia, isn't she?
Yeah, absolutely, because Christine is in Sydney, and I believe she's 9 hours ahead of us. So for the
we're talking about Christine Morgan.
Christine Morgan, absolutely.
Yeah, who we have today.
Yeah, she's 9 hours, I believe, ahead of us. So we did a recording at 10 o'clock one morning, and you must have been tucked up in bed with your cocoa.
I can promise you that.
It was probably about 3 in the morning. Yeah, it was about 3 in the morning your time. So instead we have, because we have a couple of people in the background, because we do tend to get a lot of spammers, and obviously when we go to messages, and we need help trying to get people in, also setting up the link to get you guys into the studio. And we're still going to do that tonight. So the interview that we've recorded is around 50 minutes. And I know you're going to enjoy this, but Helen has come out from the back and she's going to be helping me interview Christine. So it's going to be excellent. So we're still going to be here. We're going to be back and we're going to be doing the messages after the interview. And we've probably got a little bit more time than normal. So that's quite exciting. We might get time for some more messages. Mm-hmm. So, guys, we'd love you to stay on and love you to watch. So without further ado, I'm just going to bring it up now, the link, and it will play straight away. Then I'll put it onto a full screen. So you won't see myself and Monique, but we will be there, won't we, Monique? Mm-hmm. We're not going anywhere, are we?
Oh, for sure.
So I'll see you in about 50 odd minutes or so, Monique.
Okay.
See you soon. Put the kettle on. Put the kettle on. Helen, welcome to the Spiritual Talk.
Hello, Paul. I'm really excited.
And this is your first time
this side of the camera.
Yeah, absolutely. So how does it feel?
Like I say, I feel really excited, and it's nice to be able to ask, because normally I'm sat behind the screen, and there's lots of questions that fly through my mind, but at least I'll be able to ask them this time instead of, just putting everyone else's forward. So yeah, it'd be a real novelty for me.
So as the audience would know, this is on a pre-record. So we've had to pre-record this because our lovely guest is literally the other side of the world. And the reason why Monique is not here, because I believe it must be 3 o'clock in the morning in Canada, Vancouver. So it was a bit of an ask, but we've managed to pull you forward and bring you out in front of the screen. Yeah, absolutely. But the problem is because we've got, we are almost international, aren't we? England, Vancouver, and our guest today is from Australia and Sydney. So it's quite exciting that we're international now.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. So let's talk about our guest, because we are really honoured to have this lady today. I know she's a really busy lady, and we was talking just before we went live that she's been online teaching all day, and she's given up some of her time to come and talk to us here on Spiritual Talk. So I'm really looking forward to it, to getting to know her a bit better. And there's lots and lots of information out there And we always tend to we kind of stalk our guests, don't we? So it's really interesting what we find out before the interview. So much out there, and this lady's no exception. Did you want to introduce Christine?
No, you're doing such a good job. I'll let you do it.
Okay, so I am quite lucky actually, because I have met this lady at the Arthur Findlay College. She was on a course I was doing with Chris Drew, Eileen Davis, and Lynn Probert, and Christine was there, and it was a great course and a great week. And obviously in this world of COVID at the moment, it's just missing places like Arthur Findlay College and just meeting people, and the online world has taken over, hasn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
It really
but it's bringing people together as well. So
it's not a bad thing. But this lady, she's one of Australia's foremost spiritual mediums. She also teaches not just at the Arthur Findlay College, but also all around the world. She is a CSNU accredited tutor, not just in public speaking and demonstrating. She also has 30 years experience in mediumship. And gosh, I just made her sound really old, but she's really not. She's really not. The other really interesting fact, she comes from a family of mediums, which we're going to get to the bottom of and talk to her about that. So we almost want a drum roll, really, don't we?
Yeah.
Introducing the lovely Christine Morgan. Good morning, or good afternoon, or good evening in Sydney.
Yes, good evening. Good morning to you both, and good evening for me. Thank you for having me.
Well, thank you for agreeing to come on. And as we were kind of talking before we started press to record, we kind of want to know more about you. We always ask our guest, Christine, more about the person rather than the medium, and your beginnings and your upbringing. And I touched on the fact that you come from a family of mediums. Can you explain to us a little bit about your background?
So you do stalk them. You do stalk
We do. We try to find as much information about you guys.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Okay. Well, first of all, yes, my granddad on my mum's side dabbled with mediumship and was a medium, and he used to give people sittings and that when he was in the Navy on the ships.
Oh, wow.
Many years ago.
Was that the Australian Navy or?
No,
English?
we're Northerners. George,
brilliant.
We're all North. We're all Northerners. So you can take the girl out of Britain, but you can't take the British out of the girl.
Brilliant.
So we're very, very British, but we do live in Australia. So Granddad was in the Navy, Mum's dad, and he dabbled with mediumship. And I say dabbled because he left it alone, but he actually was a very natural medium and was very well known when he used to travel on his journeys of giving sittings to sailor mates, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And my grandmother, his wife, was extremely super psychic, a very natural medium, but a super psychic in the way that she taught us how to read tea leaves, do pyromancy, which was reading the flames in the fire, that sort of thing. So I was brought up with a family. When my mum had me at 18, so I was very young. I was the oldest grandchild. And so I was brought up with mum's brothers and sisters who were all into, reading jewelry, reading photographs, reading the flames in the fire, having your teacup read. So it was a very natural thing for me. And it was very natural for my nana to talk about the spirit world. My granddad, unfortunately, passed very young, tragically. But she used to say to us, granddad was on the stairs or granddad was at the bottom of the bed, blah, blah, blah. So I sort of had this in my sort of environmental background where I grew up, so to speak.
Yeah.
And then my mum married my dad, who was training to be a medium at the age of 20. And so my biological father, because my mum married twice, he was training to be a medium and he worked, but he actually became a very successful and well-known medium. And he moved from the Northeast down to Cheshire. So he was the president of the Runcorn Spiritualist Church for 40 years, and he became quite involved in mediumship and that sort of thing. So it was a very natural thing. I sort of was a reluctant medium. I didn't really want to do it, but being in the family, it was talked about, it was discussed. There wasn't any fear around it. It was a very natural thing that I grew up with.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Over to you, Helen. Because I know you've got loads and loads of questions to ask as well.
I have. And one of the questions I've got is, with you growing up in such a mediumistic household, you still describe yourself as a reluctant medium. So I just wondered whether that was something to do with kind of a rebellion against, you know, what you'd been surrounded by. And, you know, conversely, what the turning point was for you to embrace your skill.
Okay. Well, even though it was in my family, my parents divorced when I was about 14. So we came out to Australia. My mum had already remarried and my dad stayed in England. But he continued with being a spiritualist and blah, blah, blah. So I always got the conversations and talking about it. I always knew of his involvement with the spirit. And my mum and her sisters, so they talked about it freely. They didn't practice it, but they certainly practiced pyromancy, doing psychometry and reading the tea leaves. In fact, my grandmother was so well known, people would line up and people would ring up and say, oh, you know, could you do the tea leaves? Even our friends of her grandchildren, they loved it. So the psychic side was very much a stimulus and it was normal. So I guess I didn't really take much notice of it. In fact, to be honest with you, I wish I'd listened to my Nana more. I wish she was here now, because she used to talk so freely about the spirit world and openly. And she used to always say it was a very natural thing for her and a very natural world. And it was very natural for my granddad, her husband. Mm-hmm. So, of course, my mum is very mediumistic and would talk about seeing people and had experiences. And we were told never to hide anything. We were always taught to be it open. However, I went on the journey of being a teenager and growing up. I became a hairdresser, a makeup artist, and I was into boys and clothes and bands, going out clubbing and having a drink. And I was into being real, right? I was into just being me in my life. But in my late teenage years, I had a lot of strong dreaming experiences that forecast different things. And I'd say things and get up and have a dream, and then it would be on the news the next night. So the psychic side was being stimulated all the time. And eventually, probably around about the age of 19, I came home to visit my dad, who I had a lovely relationship with, and he started taking me to the spiritualist churches. And I sat in the back of his church at a development circle, and I thought, oh, this is full of old ladies with blue rinses talking to the dead, and I'm not into this. I want to go to a club and have a drink and party and blah, blah. And I was just a typical 19-year-old. Yeah. Anyway, he took me to a few services, and every time we went to a service, I kid you not, when a very good medium was working, I was always told, you will be up here doing this one day, young lady. And I used to just laugh it off. I used to laugh it off. And Dad used to say to me, if you ever feel the need and you're ready, perhaps do that. But I was really involved in my career. I love the hair industry. I love the fashion industry. So I was really involved in it. And then I started to have very strong experiences in my 20s where I really couldn't deny it anymore. I had to go and find out about it. So I rang my dad, and the first thing he did was pack me a box of silver birch books. So spiritualist sent me all this spiritualist paraphernalia, which I knew about spiritualism, obviously, but he sent me a lot of information about the research. He got me to read silver birch and everything. And so I started thinking about it, but I was so reluctant because it just wasn't the done thing for a young girl, right? It just wasn't the done thing. And so I ended up looking into Buddhism. I ended up doing meditation groups and different things where I thought perhaps I could get some answers about different things, but I never really applied myself seriously till probably around about mid to late 20s, when experiences happened so strongly, I had to find out, because, you know, I'd go and talk to someone and I'd have a few drinks, and the next thing I'd be saying, oh, you know, your dad's called Jack and he's standing here, and someone would say, but he died 10 years ago. So I started to have all these experiences, and of course the first thing my dad did was say, don't you drink and do that. So that stopped. But that's how it literally happened one day at a party. I went, oh, you know, I did see them, that I did know this information. And my dad said, don't you ever do that, have a drink. But it was a natural thing. Yeah. And so then he said, you really need to start and sit. So I went to, I didn't sit in a circle. I just went to my lounge room, and I sat at home for an hour every morning for a couple of years. I had wonderful experiences, and I just knew that I had an awareness of something greater than me that my dad talked about. And I started to recognize it. And that basically set me on the journey of finding out more.
Lovely. Because there was a story you told as well about one of the things I saw online about a wedding.
Oh, yes.
That you went to, which was quite a fascinating story. I don't know if you're happy to share that or not.
Yeah. Well, through this journey, I was still hairdressing, and I'd read people's teacups when they're having the haircut. So consequently, I was always booked out. And then I went into the management side of running salons. So I was very busy on the business side.
Okay.
And what happened was I was working with a particular girl, and she was getting married, and we were going to the wedding, and my husband and I were getting dressed, and I put a pie in the oven for him to have some lunch before we went. And as I put the pie in the oven, the whole of the oven turned into a blue flame. And I heard a voice say to me, there will be no wedding photos there today, but everything will be well. And I had the lady's name, which I won't discuss for privacy, and a Mrs. such and such. And I thought, I took no notice of it and told my husband, and he just say, what you're going to do with this? You need to start finding out more. And I was reading and dabbling, but I wasn't really being serious. Mm-hmm. And consequently, my grandfather had come to me a lot in a dream state and told me about evidence of the spirit and different things. And so I go along to this wedding, and the bride is late, and half an hour later, my girlfriend come in, the bride, and she's all tear stained. And I said, what the hell happened? And she said, well, at lunchtime today, which was the time I did this, the place we were having our wedding photos burned to the ground. And we had to find an emergency place that would take us with the party and blah, blah, blah. Yeah. So when I told my husband, he said, well, that happened at 12 o'clock, which is exactly the time you put the pie in the oven for me. And did you ask her if she knew the surname? I said, no, I shan't do that on a wedding day. Anyway, a few weeks later at work, I managed to get the courage up to say, do you know anybody with the surname of such and such, Mrs. Such and such? And I described the lady I'd seen in my kitchen and the name. She said, yes, my grandmother, but she's been dead for years. Wow. And I was like, right, okay. So these things, that's just one story, and there's many of them. And I've got all my journals of this. And I kept the stories. And so from then on, I thought, I really need to explore this. And I started to have very strong dreams of my grandfather. And he literally led me back to my dad for understanding. And I'd ring dad, and I'd ring my dad and say, this happened. So my dad was guiding me over the telephone, still in Britain. And when I came back to England once a year on a holiday, I would go to services with him, and I'd sit in his development circle. And I did eventually go to a circle for 6 months in Western Australia, but it really wasn't my cup of tea. But I did it for 6 months with a lovely lady who's a lovely old minister in the SNU now. I've been a minister for many years, and her and her husband were part of the SNU churches in Western Australia. So she asked me if I would do the platform. I'd never done the platform in my life. Mm-hmm. And I was going on holiday to Britain. And I was with my dad, and I said, well, they want me to do the platform. I don't think I can do that. Dad, I'm not ready yet. And I've been standing up demonstrating in the circle. And he said, well, get ready this evening. He says, because I'm doing a service at a lovely church called St. Helens, which you might know. And so he took me along to the service. And in those days, the services were packed. You'd get 100 to 200 people in a service. And we're going to this big St. Helens church. I remember it distinctly. And I said, well, I'll sit down the front. He says, oh, no, you won't. He said, you're sitting up the top with me tonight. You're demonstrating. Oh, well, I nearly went through the floor. Anyway, I did it. And from then on, we had bookings of father and daughter when I was over on holiday. He used to take me with him demonstrating at the churches where he traveled, because he traveled a lot around the country for churches. Yeah. So every time I was on holiday, I went to demonstrate with dad. I continued then very seriously, left the hairdressing field. I had a lot of demand for private readings, and it just grew from there.
Such a natural continuation, so it seems, from your upbringing, you're almost the teaching you had from your parents and grandparents, and there you are suddenly. It kind of must have felt quite natural as well for you, even though you was a fish out of water, so to speak.
Yeah.
It must have almost kind of felt like it was almost like it was meant to be as well.
Well, it did, Paul. And I guess I was really lucky that I had my dad to go back to. And I was lucky that my mum, my grandmother, people all knew about it. So I was very lucky that way. And I had a husband who, you know, said, yes, do what you've got to do something with this, because it was just ridiculous then. And the more I started to learn about spiritualism, it made me hungry for education. I remember reading and writing. I've still got files that I wrote essays on for years, and I just loved it. And the more I delved into it, I couldn't get enough. And of course, when I went back to the UK every year, the whole time was spent with spiritualism and doing services and working from there. So then I go back to Perth, and then was asked to run meditation groups, things like that, and everything just flowed on from there.
I mean, obviously, I met you once before at the Arthur Findlay College, and what I don't know you that well apart from that experience. And obviously now, in the last 10 minutes, what's really becoming quite clear from this interview is how passionate you are about working for Spirit. It does seem to me that you are someone that this is a lifelong thing. It's just meant to be.
Well, I believe that. And I hope so.
Yeah.
I have no children. I have no husband now, so I'm quite happy. I mean, I love what I do. So you know, it led me back to Perth, where I worked for the union as a treasurer. I did secretary. I taught for them. I was their teacher, and then I ended up leaving the union and opening up my own centre. So I ran a very successful centre in Perth for 10 years.
Yeah.
Before I left Perth. So that went very, very well. So I was very, very blessed, but I worked hard.
Yeah. The other thing I wanted to mention as well, which again kind of shows your character, there was an interview on your website, and it's with Ben Fordham on Sydney 2GB. I hope you don't mind me mentioning this. And I said to Helen the other day about this. In 9 minutes, you, in this interview, the guy obviously quite skeptical, is, you know, and that's okay to be skeptical, isn't it, if it's not your experience?
Yeah.
And there you are explaining how the spirit world is and is around us, and then you go and give him a message that blows him away in 9 minutes. It's come off that interview. He's probably, someone get me a coffee, you know, or something stronger. It was just amazing, and it's well worth a listen. So anybody that's listening that would like to see Christine work, yeah, that was just superb. You brought through, I think it was his cousin that was a buddy as well with him. They grew up together, and then an aunt as well. But that, to me, the demonstration of that was also how good mediumship should be. You know, you named them as well. You named it, and you're under pressure. For heaven's sake, you're in the spotlight. You're under pressure, and you still named those that were coming through.
Yeah, it was a very big radio. It's a very big radio station here, and Ben is very well known. And his nephew was house sharing with me at the time, and he taught me into doing it. So I said, okay, let's do it, which was great because it was great exposure for the spirit, I think. And I didn't even think I was going to do a contact. It just was so natural. It just came, so I just went with it.
It did, and it was just so natural. Not only was your explanation succinct and to the point, and really quickly, because sometimes it can be difficult to get people to understand, or you've not found the right words, but you came across so well, and then you nailed the message from spirit. This poor guy was sort of left, well, what can I say?
Yeah, he was definitely,
the hairs on the back of his neck were standing on end, didn't he?
Yeah,
and it
was
so lovely to listen to.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
So definitely, guys, if you're listening to Christina's interview, and those that are watching on pre-record and on catch up as well, please go and check out Christine's website. We have got a link to how to look at Christine's website, how to get on there, and it's well worth. There is other interviews as well, I will add, that are also interesting, but that one for me, just that 9 minutes and so much information in 9 minutes was brilliant. So honestly, we've been talking already for 25 minutes, and I feel like we've only just chipped away at the top of the iceberg. There's so much there. The other thing I was going to say to you, Christine, have you got a book published yet? Is that the next thing?
Look, I started a book a few years ago, and I was looking for a ghostwriter, So if anybody knows a good one. And I had two people who started a book for me. One of them through illness couldn't carry it on, and then the second one actually was moving away, so we decided just to leave it. And I've been told many, many, many times to write a book. I have journals and journals, and then I get thoughts, and I have, believe it or not, the journal by my bed. I wake up through the night with thoughts of things and I write them down. And I think I'm better talking than I am writing. So I just need someone to put it into words for me. But no, I haven't actually done one.
Well, I'd say it's, you know, everything you've said so far in the last 25 minutes, it would be a really interesting read. So I'd love to hear it. Anybody that's a good ghostwriter, let Christine know, because that would be definitely worth a read. Absolutely. Thanks. Sorry, I'm digressing. We've been going for 25 minutes already, and we've got quite a few questions that have come in from people that watch as well.
Great.
Did you want to go first, Helen? You've got quite a few as well.
Well, I've still got one more question, if I can ask that one.
No, sorry. Yeah, carry on.
Only just because of my own sort of fascination. But
absolutely.
I also know that you have studied parapsychology, and I wanted to find out how that helped with your medium, and whether it's something that has benefited your development, and whether you would recommend somebody else who's just starting out on their journey to approach their mediumship from that angle as well.
Well, for me, the reason I did it, and I think it has to be a personal thing, is because I couldn't get enough. I was so hungry. I just wanted to look at all aspects, and I was fascinated by the phenomena of spiritualism. And if you look back at all the old researchers and scientists, and how even, you know, how spiritualism came about, etc.
Yeah.
So it was a very basic, simplistic course. It wasn't a university degree, but it was a long course, and it was worth doing. I did it by correspondence with a college in England. And what happened was, it was something that just led me to think about things differently. So I remember my tutor in that course saying, you're always coming from the medium's point of view, because things were making more and more sense to me in my own understanding and development. So when I was doing the course of parapsychology, that's how I'd come from, that perspective. Okay, so to me, it just gave me food for thought of how sometimes the layman or other people see different things and put things in perspective. So for me, it was nourishing, and it was education, and it was food, right? So for anybody else, I don't think you necessarily need to do it at all. I think it has to be a personal interest.
Yeah.
But I found it fascinating.
Yeah. Because it was 4 years that you did.
Yeah, over 4 years I did that. Yeah.
Lovely.
That's really
So yes, we can go to the audience questions.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Helen, because I keep forgetting. Obviously, being behind the screen, you must get questions for some of the guests in your mind that you'd love to ask. And
all the time.
Yeah,
and I'm so busy with the banners and things like that. I think if I spend my time typing the question to you, I'm going to be dropping the ball somewhere else. So,
and the problem is we get a lot of spammers that come in and try to message the audience. Yeah. So because we're now going into HD, we've got so many different platforms that we can go out across. There's so many more opportunities for spammers to come in. So we try to keep on top of that. So yeah, touch wood, this would be free of spammers.
And we haven't had many, have we, lately?
Not really. No.
So that's really good.
So would you like to go first, Helen?
I will, and it's quite a long question, but it's from a regular audience member, and it's from Carol Phillips, and she's asked, can intuitiveness manifest as pains? I seem to know when something isn't right, and it causes me severe knotting in my solar plexus area, which seems to release, but then it makes me feel rough in her abdominal area for a few days after she finds out what was wrong. I always get the feeling I'm going to hear something and feel worried and stressed until whatever it is happens. Can you work on intuitiveness to change the way it affects you and interpret it more efficiently?
Okay, well, in a nutshell, that's all about working on the mind, because intuitively you can feel and sense the sensation of someone's pain. Like you might sense someone's got a headache, or you sense there's a back issue, or a leg issue. But that doesn't actually stay with you. What actually happens, it's the brain and the mind grasps that feeling and it replays to you. So it gives you the impression that you're actually holding on to it. Right. But actually the pain or the sensation of that has actually floated through your intuitive mind. It's gone, it's instant. And so the body is feeling it because your mind will actually think that you're feeling it. So the best way to overcome that is to acknowledge, oh, I've got this feeling, and then let it go, not to focus on it. The more you feed that in your mind, you will manifest it. And so that the way to work on your intuition is to understand it, right? So you can practice all you like, but if your understanding's not correct, you're practicing the wrong way. So if you practice correctly and you have a good tutor around you to guide you, to know what's your mind, what's your imagination, what comes from your intuition, which is hidden behind your screen of logic. Mm-hmm. Once you can tap into that, which is hidden behind that screen, you understand that actually what you're feeling is the preemptive sensing of situations, which can be like a premonition or precognition. You could have, there's all those different aspects you could be having if you're developing psychically. But you shouldn't be holding pain around you for 2 or 3 days. Yeah. That to me is a concern. Mm-hmm. I would say that we would then have to look at what's going on in your mind, which makes you feel that is happening. So we can give you a tool to move away from that by simply shifting your focus and not manifesting it within you.
Yeah.
Lovely. Hopefully that helps, Carol.
Yeah, so whether that's more that she's picking up on something that's quite a fearful situation as well, perhaps. Mm-hmm. So yeah, not actually feeding that. But that's a great question. Thank you, Carol. So we've got a gentleman called Ed Goodman that is not that long been, and Ed won't mind me talking about him. I've read for Ed, and he's a really interesting man in terms of what he does for a living. He recently just changed jobs. So coming into the intuitive arts and mediumship and watching mediums recently, he's had a few messages from loved ones. So I'm not sure if he's kind of there yet or understands that process. So the first one, Ed, question is asked, and there is 4. So I'm sorry about this.
That's okay.
What is meant by the intuitive arts? That's the first one, quite simple.
Okay, well, the intuitive arts is exactly whatever we do in this field, whether it be with our mediumship or intuition, is an art. Okay, it's a craft because it's part of us, and mediumship is like is a faculty of your mind. Your intuition is a faculty of your mind. So when we call it the intuitive arts, it just gives a title to an expansive awareness of where your intuition can be placed and can be used. So it might be intuitive artwork, drawing. It could be intuitive writing. It could be intuitive music. It could just be in general intuition of knowing something, understanding. It could mean working with intuitive tools. So the arts encompasses a wide forum.
Yeah, great answer. Shall we just go for all 4 of Ed's questions?
Yes, why not?
Cool. So second question from Ed is, how does intuition become psychic ability?
Okay, well, your intuition is a very natural part of you that you're born with, okay? Your psychic ability is the application of how you can use the ability. Like I said, your mediumship and your psychic work, your psychic ability is all a faculty of your mind. So your intuition is something very deep within you. And there's a very fine line here. It's almost one of the same. But that intuitive process is almost like that inner knowing, that inner awareness of things. You know, we say mother's intuition, all that sort of thing. And your psychic ability is when you were able to stimulate and practice that psychic faculty to gain information of other things outside of yourself.
Great answer. Okay. Question number 3. What is the difference between psychic ability and becoming a medium? Another great question from Ed.
Okay. Well, you know, all good mediums are psychic. Not all psychics are mediums, and I will stand by that. I believe, and it's the way I was taught and the way I still teach myself, you should have a very good understanding and practice of your psychic ability before you even venture into mediumship. I definitely believe that you need to work and talk to people here before you start talking to those who've passed on. If you can't do it in this life, why do you want to do it with the next? So I do believe that stimulation of the psychic faculty brings you an understanding of the difference between working with the material, people living here, situations around here, everyday life, as opposed to those who've gone before you, where you've got that mind-to-mind connection, where you're bringing forward evidence of that soul still living in the afterlife. Yeah. And I cannot stress that enough. That's a big bugbear for me. It's so important you understand. It's like, you know, you're a psychic and a medium if you're a medium, but not all psychics are mediums. And psychic is not a dirty word. I love psychic work. I think it's fantastic. There's so many avenues to explore there, and it can take you on fantastic mind journeys to gain information. It's great.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Great answer. And how do you nurture and develop mediumship through your teaching, Christine?
Well, I teach 6 classes online a week. They're traditional circles. My people sit in the circle to develop the power of the spirit. So we discuss and talk about the power of the spirit. When I get them, first of all, they have to have an awareness of self, and they learn about themselves as well. And with that aspect, they then grow into understanding what the power is, which is our key ingredient to link with the spirit world. But I also encourage the naturalness of mediumship. So I have got people in my group who've never sat before, but are able to link with the spirit world. So they're sort of doing a little bit what I did years ago of getting the information, then having to backpedal to understand what's happening. Yeah. So I'm a great believer in teaching from the ground up, roots up. And I do believe that you do need to nurture this with an ongoing tutor. I do believe you can sit and develop at home. I did. But I do then know that you need outside influence to help you expand, explore, practice, etc. So, and I do believe it. I don't think that, you know, Zoom and all the classes and everything's fantastic, but also it can create confusion.com. Mm-hmm. It's a myriad of different, there's fantastic teachings out there, but there's a myriad of classes. So you've got to find the person and the class that's right for you. Definitely.
Is there, because it's such a difficult subject, isn't it, for someone beginning? It can, like you said, it can be a minefield. Just on the back end of that question, is there something you could or it's difficult, isn't it? I was very lucky. I did a healing course before I did any kind of mediumship. And for me, it was the foundation of everything. It helped me to understand energy, etc., etc. But not everybody has that motivation. And I think that's really interesting, isn't it? To kind of sometimes people's motivation and why they come into it. Sometimes it literally is about the glory for some people and not about the service. But is there anything you would recommend for those that are listening, watching tonight, that you know, if they're just about starting or questioning, you know, is there anything you could recommend doing to start off with to help them? Almost like a foundation.
Right. Well, I definitely believe you should visit your foundations all the time. It doesn't matter how many years you've been doing it. But I think you should revisit your foundations quite regularly to see where you're going, remind yourself, freshen yourself, etc. For even people who, like myself, who've been doing it for 30 years, and there's a lot of people out there who've been doing it a lot longer than I have, they would say the same. I definitely think that everybody should read and research. Read and research what this work is about. It's not for a career change. It isn't for everybody, because as well as dealing with the joy and the love of the spirit, you're also dealing with the muck of people's lives sometimes, right? So I would say definitely find a tutor or someone you trust and whose work you have seen. Get the teacher to put the money where the mouth is. Yeah. So I would say definitely go and watch someone work. Go to a few classes to see how they feel, how they teach with people, how they work with people as people before they are mediums. So I think that's very, very important, that people build a rapport with someone that they trust, confide, they can talk to. Because once you start your development, you're unraveling and developing aspects of yourself. So it's no use going into a class to learn how to do a contact or a great psychic reading if you don't understand you, your own emotional state, psychological state, etc. So the development of the foundation of awareness for you has to be nurtured by someone who's got your best intentions at heart with care, who doesn't just want you to be a good medium, but wants to help you understand you in the journey, because the tutor is still understanding themselves.
Yeah.
That's really good advice, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
I've got another, it's another long question, but it's a fascinating one that somebody messaged me directly. And it's from a lady called Yvonne Wallace, who is a medium, a practicing medium, I understand. And she says, I've seen spirit beings for years now. I hear and feel them as well as write their spiritual philosophy for them. Now, something strange happened to me recently, which has left me questioning our own spirit and its abilities. Why would the spirit of a loved one visit you through the night, look at you, smile, and then fade out and leave, when in fact they haven't died and they are very much alive across the other side of the world?
Very well. I don't have an issue with that, because I do believe that the spirit can move, and even though someone hasn't died, it doesn't mean they can't visit you. And I had a personal experience when my grandmother died. My grandmother had a stroke. The lady who was a natural medium, she had a stroke, and she lay brain dead after 24 hours of that stroke. She lay brain dead for 5 weeks, and we were just so distressed. Anyway, the night before she died, she visited myself, my sisters, and my mum and her sisters, and gave us all a message. And she was as strong and as alive to me in that sleep state when she came to me through the night as what I know her in everyday life. And I awoke the next morning at 6 a.m. with a call from my brother to say she'd passed. And when my sisters and I got together and we went to the hospital and my mum and her sisters were there, she'd visited every one of us. Wow. And we'd all been taught to do something.
Nice.
And I remember, because mine was to send thank you cards for all the well wishes that had come when she'd lay in hospital. And so I do believe, my personal belief, it's a Christine Morgan thing. I don't care what anybody else says. It's about me. In my belief is that the spirit definitely can bilocate and move. And so I do believe it is possible that perhaps there's been a visitation from the spirit of that person over the other side of the world to their loved one. And I do know of other colleagues where we've had this experience. So I will say to you, I don't think that it's all black and white. And I do believe it is possible, but there might not necessarily be a meaning in it. Maybe they were just thinking of them.
But then there's, of course, a lot of people believe in astral projection. So it could have been something like an astral projection, potentially, even though they wasn't aware of the visit. I met a guy once who lived in Africa for 2 years working for Mobile Oil, and he got to know a local tribesman there who taught him astral projection. And being based in Nigeria, he used to experiment of going visiting his wife. And he swears blind that he used to visit her on many occasions.
Well, I certainly believe.
I hope he didn't catch her doing anything on the wine or anything. So, but he was a great lad, and I generally believe this guy. So, but no, I do believe that as well.
If you want to look at it, there is stories and writings of the wonderful healer Harry Edwards. And Harry used to say, you know, when he used to be in the power, he used to say that sometimes he'd find himself visiting patients, and he could describe their rooms and etc., where they were, and people would actually describe him. So it is known. If you do your research, it's actually known.
Yeah.
Fascinating, though, isn't it?
It is, absolutely.
She did go on to say that he didn't have any health issues.
Sorry, Helen, your camera, you seem to be breaking up. You've got your camera's just gone a bit blurry for some reason. I don't know if you can see that, Christina.
Yeah, that's okay now. Sorry, Helen, what was that?
I was just going to say, she goes on to confirm that the person who visited her doesn't have any health concerns and, you know, isn't dying or anything like that. So, it's a good explanation that you've given. Hopefully she'll be happy with that.
Well, maybe they were just close in thought, close in heart. Do they have to be ill? You know, the natural phenomena for human nature is always to think the worst, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Okay, I've got a great question from Lucy. And we do get a lot of questions about guides because it fascinates people. And the problem is with guidance, and people always ask me, "Oh, can you see my guide?" And I just say to them, "That's your personal journey, not mine."
Yeah.
And I think that's really important. And is there a difference between a spirit guide and a guardian angel? This is from Lucy in Devon.
Okay, well, I'm going to say to you, I think you can call them whatever you like. To me, they're just someone who cares for you, loves you, and is interested in you from the other side. So, you know, you could call your grandmother or your parent or your child your guardian angel. I do believe when you're working in the spiritual fields that you do attract higher, more evolved minds with more knowledge and inspiration and understanding, and maybe a philosophical viewpoint, or perhaps to work with you in any other art aspect of what we do. I do believe they're what we'd signify as a spiritualist, spiritual guides. So I think that you could call them whatever you like. You can label them. I mean, I don't really call them guides. I just think they're my friends. I just, you know, they're as natural to me as me and you. So they're just like my family and my friends. So I don't worry too much about the labeling. But I do believe that when you're working in a spiritual capacity, and particularly long-term and ongoing through your life, I do believe you attract a higher evolved mind than just your family members. Okay, so does your guide become a guardian angel? Who knows? There's nobody, listen, you know, there's nobody popped their clogs for the weekend and gone up to the spirit world and went, yes, 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 yes. No, no, no. So we have to remember common sense and Mr. Reason, marry them together all the time. And you have to remember that a lot of our knowledge is theoretical. Yeah. And it's taken through a lot of research, a lot of understanding, a lot of wonderful, brilliant mediumship that's taught us over the years. But at the end of the day, it's never 100%.
Absolutely.
Because we haven't been there. So we can't answer that. And no medium can answer that. I think that's a personal thing for you, whatever you want to label them. Yeah.
Yeah. Great answer. Great answer. There's so many people out there that have so many questions about guides, their roles, what they're here for. I've heard people say, "Oh, I asked my angel to find me a parking space." I've heard that one quite. That always makes me chuckle.
Yeah, it's very common,
and do you know what? If it works for them. Do you know what? That's great.
Well, that's it. That's up to them. I just think it's quite sad that we don't have enough education on it. I think that people have to come into the field to be educated on it, because the outside layman who's not in the field doesn't quite understand it. And I think they can be fascinated with the fact they've got Cherokee Indians or whatever running around them and looking after them all through their life.
And that's why we're blessed with somewhere like the Arthur Findlay College. I know it's not the only college in the world. And obviously you have your college, or it's not college, is it? It's a School of Intuitive Arts in Australia.
It is, but really mine is just that I have a college without walls, and that's how that came about, because I had the very successful centre in Perth, and then I kept feeling, what am I going to do when I moved to Sydney 12 years ago? What am I going to do? What am I going to do? And it was given to me twice from the spirit world, but through two very well-respected independent mediums who knew nothing of it. And I got the same saying, the school without walls. So I thought, okay, so what am I going to do? So I was teaching and gathering more and more students. So I'm very big on community, and my logo in my work is unity in community. And so I used that. And so I just decided to create a community, and I branded it as a school. And so now, obviously, it's got its own private Facebook page. It's got its own private groups. We do different things. I bring in guest tutors. And so I don't just teach to my community. I mean, I've got a trance night this Friday with Eileen. I've got dream classes going on, art classes. So I bring in different people, and the community is a school where people can come and join groups and learn and do different things, but it has no walls.
I love that.
So it's a school without walls, and that was given to me twice from the spirit world, very independently, because being the mind that I am, I was saying, I don't believe it. That's rubbish. You don't believe that, you know, but it actually was right.
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah.
I have another question from Lou, who's based in Nottingham. Again, just starting out on her spiritual journey, but she asks, Who decides the lessons we need to learn from past lives when we are born into a new life?
I think, well, past lives is a massive topic, and I think that's, again, personal opinion. I don't believe that we all have lessons. I just think life's one big experience. And I think you have experiences in your life through social, environmental, upbringings, understandings, education, physiological things that can go wrong, psychological things that can go wrong, that create experiences that you go through. The lesson is if you understand anything about it and take something from it on a positive level. I certainly don't believe there's a spirit guide or a spirit person or a God up there who says you have to learn that and you have to learn that, so you're going to suffer this and you're going to suffer that. I don't go along with that line of thinking. And I do believe in past lives, though I can't prove it to you, but I do believe there's a notion of truth in that to a degree.
Yeah.
Particularly working in the mediumistic field, I do believe there's aspects of the soul where there could be possible links to previous experiences.
Yeah.
But I just basically think it's all one big experience.
Lovely.
It's like a big dance floor, isn't it? And you just do a different dance to a different song or a different piece of music, and you're just moving it different ways, and you have the experience, and you either flourish from it or you wilt, and then you decide what you're going to take from it.
I'm in trouble. I'm in trouble because I've only got dad dancing, and that's about all I'm good for. So I'll be in trouble. If it was down to dancing, it's all over.
But it's just,
you're on TikTok now, Paul. You better learn to dance.
Not a chance. Not a chance. Yeah.
It's just a big sea of experience, and I think it's in your understanding as a person, your emotional maturity, of how you apply yourself to understanding the experiences around you. And what you take from it.
Lovely.
So I hope she has good experiences.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah, she's lovely as Lou, isn't she?
She really is. Yeah, both Lou and her partner Paul. I read for them recently. They really are a lovely couple. So hi guys, and thank you for watching. Is that the last one, Helen?
I think that is where, yeah.
I just really want to ask Christine before we lose you. It's been 53 minutes already. It feels like 5 minutes. But I just wanted to ask you, what next, Christine? What's next for you?
I don't know. I miss working at the college. Obviously, our college has been closed with COVID. I'm really looking forward. In fact, I was talking to some colleagues just recently over the last few weeks. We're really looking forward to going back. Yeah. I really don't know what's next. And I have to be honest with you, I don't really think too much about it. I am open to the flow of the experience, whatever it takes me, wherever I go. I've been blessed to be able to, like many mediums, travel the world with what I do, meet wonderful people. I've made amazing friends. I have some fabulous people that I'm teaching at the moment, and they'll go on and flourish and become their own. What's next for Christine? I really don't know. The only thing I do know is I don't want to stop work. I love it. I love what I do. I think I'll be given a contact when you put me in my box, and I'll be talking of the spirit when you put me in the box. I just love what I do, and what I would like, I would like to see more younger people involved, and so our mediumship as a craft doesn't die, and that the understanding of the spirit world is made more accessible for younger people. If I can just say one thing, I work a lot with families with suicide, and I work a lot with suicide groups in Australia and around the world. And I work a lot with youth. So for me, it's about doing something meaningful and having purpose with what I do. And I would love to see our work much more open to the younger generation. But of course, generations are changing so quickly, from one year to the next. I would like to see more of that, so people can take away the fear and have more understanding, because there's great joy in what we do as well.
Because there's another conversation altogether, really, because we look at going back 20 years, 30 years, 40 years ago in this country, in the UK, there was so many home circles. It just isn't around anymore. Okay, I think social media can be a positive, but there's also a lot of negative stuff out there. So I think it's much more difficult for younger generation to come into this field. But I agree with you.
It is. And so I think you have to find it. I mean, when I was in Perth, I had a home circle for 10 years there. That only stopped when I came to Sydney. And now I'm happy to say, obviously my groups that I teach weekly are all regular. And some of those people have been with me for a few years. And my home circle here in Sydney has been sitting for 11 years with me. And there's 17 of us every Wednesday night.
That's proper dedication.
It's fantastic. And they've become mediums in their own right, and healers and writers and artists. We have an Altered Girl in Altered States. We have lots of different things. And so they flourish. But what we've created together is a community in that home circle. And we come and we sit every Wednesday night together.
Yeah.
11 years we've been going.
Well, in terms of what's next for Christine, from a selfish point of view, I really hope that maybe as a result of this interview, we find you a ghostwriter, because I personally could listen to your anecdotes and all about you for I mean, I can't believe the time's gone so quickly. Yeah. So I really hope that there's a book in the pipeline soon, so that other people can benefit from, you know, the path you've taken, and your stories will inspire other people.
Thank you, Helen.
Even your teachings, you know, your craft and how you've learned, and some of the exercises you give. I mean, it's so valuable. And pyromancy, I've never heard of that. That's reading flames. I'm sorry, but that's a first with me. That sounds, I'm going to look that up when I get offline.
Yes, look at it. My nana used to sit us down in our gym jams in front of the fire and look at the flames and tell us about the faces and images. And she told us a lot about symbology with the flames. So I was really lucky, but, you know, as a child, you take it for granted. So, yeah.
Yeah, awesome.
Fabulous.
Well, can I say, Christine Morgan, on behalf of Spiritual Talk, thank you very much for this interview.
Yes, thank you very much, Paul and Helen. Thank you so much for having me and inviting me. It was delightful.
Thank you. And there we are, Monique. Oh, I think I've got you on mute. Hold on. That's a faux pas. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear
you. Oh,
lovely.
Sorry, you was on mute because we had a little bit of background noise. We kind of put ourselves on mute. Okay. So, yeah, what a delightful interview.
Certainly was. I enjoyed watching that again and again. Very impressive lady with her history and background and her dedication, you know, to her practice and service. Is unbelievable. Yeah, as I was saying to Paul earlier, to everybody, she's the kind of person that I would definitely, and I did. I was scheduled to go to Arthur Findlay last year, but that came to a dead halt because of the pandemic. But people like myself would cross the Great Pond, buy a flight and a 1-week package to any college where she might be, because you can see she was a wealth of knowledge and so well spoken.
And I don't think I made that point when I introduced Christine, that she was actually one of the tutors with Eileen Davis, Chris Drew, and Lynn Probert. So yeah, absolutely, it was what they call in football terms. I've got to get a football analogy in here.
Somewhere. I know you do.
What they call a dream team. It's a dream team, Monique. It was a dream team that particular week. So I'm very excited that we're going to be working now, and I'm really, really am excited. So I want to kind of get that energy and that enthusiasm out there, guys. So we're not going to do what we did last week when we get 5 people in the studio. I think Spirit taught us a lesson by one of the messages went outside of the studio. So, okay, so what we're going to do, we'll do a similar format. And we're also going to share the start of the links as well, Monique, which is really good. We're going to kind of build the art up as well with the link and see how deeper we can go with the communication. Yes. That's going to be really exciting.
There we go.
Okay, there you go. Before we start, though, we just need to get everyone to like and share, and let us know if you would like a message. And also, if a message comes up for you, if you're prepared to come in the studio, okay, you know, if you can't, you can't, but it works better if we can hear your voice. Okay, so if you don't want to come on camera, you can always be in the background and we can hear your voice. Okay, so
I do want to mention that as I'm sketching and Paul's reading, and we'll work together on that, as I'm sketching, and if you can take anything Paul's taking, and if you recognize the sketch, it's a very interesting option. You can change the Facebook, your Facebook profile image and put a photo. Many people have photos of their loved ones on their phone nowadays or on their tablets. If you're watching from that, it's very easy to do, and it would validate the reading and the sketch. So that's always fun. If you're familiar with the technology and you feel like you'd like to do that, feel free.
Yeah, that'll be really good.
Bring that in.
So give yourself, a few moments. If you can get a picture of a loved one up, or even sometimes it's not even you have to have that picture. Sometimes just by thinking of that loved one or holding something of theirs, we don't have to see it, but it can act like a bit of a magnet and pull them closer. So that's quite exciting in itself.
And feel free to continue to text, because we are reading those texts to validate our reading. As we draw and we read, we're reading your comments. So we are familiar. We start to become familiar if we're making that link. So that's important.
Yes, great stuff. Yeah. So guys, if you'd like to keep sharing as well, because we're not seeing many people asking for a message, but we'll just keep going and keep going and keep going. Okay. So first of all, shall I start the link, Monique, and then you do the next one? Great.
Would you please?
This is exciting. So we've got a little bit more time. So here we go. I'm very aware of a gentleman that steps into my energy, and he's been here about 10 minutes, and he's been really waiting patiently to come through. I do know this is a father figure. I do know this gentleman's partner is also in spirit world, or in spirit. And he wants to make contact here. Now, I am also aware, and I do feel this is evidential, he's making me aware of a stroke that he had. He's also making me aware of his physical presence. He was quite a big man, quite a strong man. I also keep, okay. It sounded like the name Yvonne as well that connects to him. How are you feeling this, gentleman, Monique? It's amazing, isn't it? The intelligence of spirit, how we connect across the Atlantic.
No kidding.
People are probably sitting at home like, how are they doing this? Yeah.
Well, this is the thing. We are not doing it. Spirit is doing it, and we're just following their guidance.
Yeah.
So.
I know there is also a message here in terms of, like I said, this gentleman definitely had a stroke, but I don't feel this is what he passed of. And I do feel the stroke was an indication it was the beginning of his illnesses. I do feel this gentleman had not just a stroke. He was quite poorly before he passed. It keeps making me aware of a street name. Now, it sounds like a Little Hampton, or I can see the Little Ampton. He's trying to make me aware of this, and also the number 32 for a door number. Also, I keep hearing, okay. I do for this gentleman that some time has gone by since he's been in the spirit, because I keep hearing he's been passed for some time. Is there anything you're picking up, Monique?
I'm feeling a mustache on this man, dark hair. Sorry, I'm listening to Spirit as I draw. Did you say somewhere in the UK somewhere?
I don't know yet. I don't know.
You don't know yet. Okay, that's.
He hasn't said.
Okay.
But they do. If I fit into this link, he does feel. I've got to see. It's like I know I'm aware of his partner in spirit, so I do feel mum and dad. It could be connected to grandparents, but I feel there's. This is more connected to a daughter that's here.
Yes, and I am also feeling father. I'm feeling a father. Feels like a father to me.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. This gentleman, thank you. I do feel that he also, or he's just said he had a military experience as well. I also feel a connection. Now, it's because you've asked, Monique, about the UK. I actually feel this gentleman, there's a Welsh connection with this gentleman.
Okay.
And I know, again, I'm trying not to be too cliche, but I can hear the word David or David that connects to him. I know that also this gentleman would have liked rugby. He would have been quite sporty. in his younger days. And I do feel with this gentleman there's a farming connection. He's also making me aware. I feel that's okay. Okay, 3 sons. 1 of 3. Do you have any more?
He's showing me right now. I'm seeing him in around middle age, 50, 60. That's where I'm seeing him. When they usually come through in drawing, much more youthful, strong, vibrant, healthy. And you're right. I do feel stockier man. A bigger guy, very strong. Yeah. That's what I'm getting here. As I said.
I know that would have been a right-sided weakness with the gentleman with the stroke. I know his physicality would have been affected. Okay, guys, if anyone understands this information, the connection to the name David as well, I feel this is either a brother, possibly an uncle, but I feel it's more brother as I feel into that name David. Also, I keep hearing the name Yvonne when he first connected with me. Also, I know this gentleman, there's a Mary that connects into the family as well. Hi, April. Good to see you. And Stephanie, good to see you guys. I've got Trevor just come into the studio. I'm going to bring Trevor in because he might understand this drawing. Hi, Trevor, if you can hear us. Oh,
you understand,
do not swear, Trevor. You're live on, I want to say on Channel 4, but this is not Channel 4. This is not Big Brother either. Hi, Trevor. Oh,
he's on mute at the moment. Okay, now he's off. He's coming on and off mute.
Yeah, it could be his internet signal. Do you understand the information coming through from this gentleman? I actually feel, I'm going to keep going with this because Trevor's bounced out. It could be his internet signal. I actually do feel this gentleman also had a heart problem with this gentleman. And I keep hearing David as well. I do feel the Welsh connection with this. Okay, but there is, I take the names David, Mary and Bob. Okay, brilliant, April. Would you understand the military connection with this gentleman? Because it feels like mum and dad in spirit. I know there's grandchildren here because I can feel the grandchildren, but I feel it's more of a connection with the daughter than the actual grandchildren connecting here. If you wish to come in, you can take this information. Fine. Trevor's come back in. I'm just going to see if Trevor can take this information. No Welsh connection. Okay. Because there's a farming connection with this gentleman that led, and I do see the mountains. I do feel the Welsh connection. So it won't be for you then. I'm sorry, April. See if I can get Trevor in now. Hi, Trevor. Do you know, we get so many people after the program saying, oh, I could take all that information. I just couldn't come in. I think and my granddad was his cousin.
I believe. Okay, good.
Hi, Stephanie. I don't know if Trevor can hear me.
Trevor, you can always text if you can't speak.
Yeah, you can always put it into Messenger.
Yeah.
Okay, Stephanie's put, I think my granddad was, his cousin was David, more like his brother. If you can come in, Stephanie, that would be brilliant. Welsh here, haha. However, I'm in a bath. Oh no, that might not be good. Going online and in a bath. Yeah, actually, if you drop the phone or tablet, whatever you're on, so don't do that. But I do know there's a policeman connection with this gentleman as well. I changed my picture. Okay. But the name also, Yvonne. I feel the name Yvonne. No, yes, don't drop your tablet in the bath. Do you recognize the picture, Stephanie? That would be great. But I feel this is more connected to a daughter. So I think your mum has been on sometimes. This could be connected with mum. There's also, I do feel that one of the brothers, yes, my uncle was a police officer. Okay, brilliant. Would you understand there was one of the brothers, uncles, ended up in a wheelchair before his passing? I also know there's a real sense of polish as well. There's a real sense of this gentleman looked after everything, even in the house. I feel like the brass was polished, shoes were polished. You know, there wasn't dust around. This gentleman was quite efficient around the home in terms of, I'm not saying that he kept home, but he was quite efficient around the home, looking after, making sure certain things were clean. Okay, I'm hoping that's if not, Stephanie, and if your mum's not around, we'll contact us and we'll send you this picture, because it's a great picture, Monique.
Great sense of, this man had plenty of responsibility in his life, and was very good at taking care of whatever he needed to take care of. My father was like that, plenty of responsibility, and very very good at what he did, you know. And I'm getting a very responsible man here, very loving man to his family, I feel. And yes, I'm feeling possible uniform as well, Paul.
Yeah. There was some kind of military connection with this gentleman. Okay, we're going to leave his love with the family, Stephanie. I do feel this is connecting in, because I can feel the Welsh connection, because I can see the hills, the mountains.
Yeah, I'm feeling this. I'm not sure exactly where, but I'm getting that feel as well, Paul.
Yeah. And but the name Yvonne as well keeps, and Stephanie's just said, thank you, Lou. Stephanie's just said it's his anniversary today.
Oh,
yeah.
Wonderful.
Yes, yeah. So it's interesting. They do come close in anniversaries and birthdays and celebrations.
True, they do.
They like to be around the family. Absolutely. Okay, Monique, that's lovely. That's great picture. Great picture. So, like I say, Stephanie, I'll send you that picture. That's fantastic.
Did she identify with the picture, Paul?
She believes it could be her grandfather.
Wonderful. That's lovely.
I might have said that wrong. Sorry, because I haven't got my glasses on.
Okay.
Okay. So,
all right. So,
Owen Welsh has just said she thinks she knows who that is. Okay. So somebody else might be taking.
She thinks she knows who it is.
So, okay, before we go any further then, because it keeps coming back with the name Yvonne as well that links into the family. The name Mary also links into him. That's lovely.
He comes through with a great deal of love. That's absolutely certain.
He does.
I can feel that.
He does. Yeah. So whether that's for you, Armin Welsh, or whether that's for Stephanie, let us know. I mean, have a look back on here if you've missed it. Yes, his wife was Mary. But the Yvonne, though, I keep hearing the Yvonne. I know it's slightly different. I know I can feel the Welsh. His son married Yvonne. Okay. That's pretty straight on. Okay. Would you also understand, but I feel this gentleman, I'm not sure if it's him or he's talking about a brother, but always went around on a bike, didn't really get into cars, was a bit stubborn on that, didn't use a car. I see him always using a bike to get around the village.
I feel him referring to grandchildren as well, Paul.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So can we leave this love with either Arwen or Stephanie, and we'll, by process of elimination, we'll send out both and see if you recognize the picture. There's so much evidence within the picture.
Yes, you can just see the character. Yes, my grandpa took him in his car. Okay.
Ah, lovely. Okay, brilliant. We'll send you that. We'll send you the picture as well. Awesome, Monique. That was lovely connection.
Wasn't it?
Yeah. Should we try this different way we're talking about?
Oh, okay. Let's see. Well, I will start.
Shall I explain to the public?
Well, I'm going to try linking here first of all, and then Paul's going to try linking it with me instead of the opposite.
Yeah, which is quite exciting because we saw a link recently. Somebody sent us a link with the Great Coral Bulge, artist, and with who, you know, he's probably one of the best mediums of all time, Gordon Higginson, working. And it was just fabulous. And choral started first. So, and I think they mixed it up a little bit. So, yeah, we really want to try this and kind of test our mediumship, because it is amazing when you think that we're connecting across the channel, well, the Atlantic, not the channel. It's not, we can't swim the Atlantic. Yeah, anyway, so it's just amazing that the intelligence of spirit and how all things are connected is playing out here right in front of us, Monique.
I know, isn't it though? And yeah, and for me as a spirit artist, it's not always easy to speak and to draw at the same time. So for any artist, for that matter. So what I do is I write notes on the side, as you can see, as I speak. So I'm going to start off by telling you what I'm getting, and then Paul's going to hopefully link, and then I'll start drawing as he speaks. So, okay, so let me just relink. I was feeling that I was getting a woman, and so funny, Paul. I thought Paul's going to get a man, and I'm going to get a woman, and that's exactly what happened. So I'm feeling a mother come through. Now, I hate to say Margaret Thatcher, because right away somebody's going to have that image in her mind, but it reminds me of that, because this woman stature was shoulders back. She was the age I'm seeing her now, although at this point, although she aged older than this, I'm seeing her, middle ages, still working. I feel that she actually worked in a business. She was a businesswoman. The way I'm seeing her is in a beautiful suit. That's why I'm thinking of Margaret Thatcher.
I've got that, Monique. So that's exciting. I've got
like what Paul's wearing, the kind of blue that Paul's wearing. Right now it's a light blue suit. Okay, and she feels like a mother and independent. I mean, I feel she was married, but very independent woman. And she worked. I mean, she loved her job, so she worked well into her latter years and then retired. I guess. Matronly shape, but very youthful, meaning bigger on top, broad shoulders, and then down to her waist and knees. I see a skirt and high heels, and she would be carrying around a briefcase or some files. Now let's see what else I could see about her. She's the kind of woman, not all women wear scarves, but this woman wore a scarf, long scarf. She was well dressed most of the time. Hair had to be just so, always just so, just like you see Margaret Thatcher's, always well done. And I'm seeing a lighter haired woman, lighter color of hair, maybe blonde or very, very light brown or something very light. And the hairspray and comb back. And I'm trying to figure out, from what I see, if she's got a beehive hairdo or hair tied back. But you'll see in the drawing once I start, a woman that wore lipstick, a very loving woman. Let's see. I see her as a woman that wore jewelry too, because she shows me a ring and a watch, beautiful watch and a ring. She would wear jewelry. Let's see. Are you feeling that she might be British, Paul? Are you from
Do you know what? Somewhere? Do you know what? I do get the image of a Margaret Thatcher type lady.
Yeah.
I know she would have been quite businesslike in her personality. But I'm getting some interesting information come through. Shall I start to share?
Yes, I have more, but I'll start to draw now.
Oh, please carry on if you want.
Well, I just throw in a few last minute things. I feel her father passed away. She wants to let the recipient know that she is with your grandfather, meaning I believe it's her father. I did see her in glasses, not necessarily all the time, but definitely to work. She'd wear glasses. I'm seeing them now, almost like the kind of I don't know if they call them cat eye, but a little pointier than mine on the corners here.
Or almost a 70s style, like a Dame Edna Everage style. Is that
that era?
Style?
That era. Yeah. And she may have had issues with her heart. I don't know if heart palpitations. I'm not sure if she died of that, but I'm feeling I heard that or I felt that. So I'll leave that with you and I'll start to sketch, Paul.
Okay, wonderful. Okay, so the lady that I'm picking up, I do connect. Again, I feel this is, I know this lady was a mother, but I do feel she passed as a grandmother.
Mhm.
The other thing that I see predominantly with her, and what Mrs. Thatcher was known for, was her handbag.
Oh, there you go.
I see her handbag as well, and the handbag would have had everything in the handbag. I'm sorry to be a bit cliche, ladies, about this, but I do feel there was always a lipstick in the handbag, and
Yes.
I do feel it very like almost a business, like a black handbag. It's very, again, I'm sorry to give this image of Margaret Thatcher, because the connections for the lady that are coming in here, she might have a different political persuasion. So I am sorry if we're offending you in some way. So we're completely neutral on a spiritual talk. We have no political agenda or views. We're just here serving spirit. So I think I've covered it there, Monique, haven't I?
Yes.
Okay, this particular lady, I know that she's well presented. Also, I feel her smelling good as well. I'm not very good when it comes to perfumes, unfortunately, but I do know that she would have been wearing a perfume on a regular basis. I also know she would have had her hair done on a regular basis. This lady was about her image. Okay.
She's now showing me pearls or some, I'm not sure if they're real or imitation, with her suit at the moment. She's showing me.
I hear the name Peggy, and I also hear the name Betty. Okay, that connects to her. Now, I do also feel wartime connection with this lady. I know she would have been alive when the war was on. Okay, and I do feel that this lady also, I feel a military connection with this lady going back in the day, and I feel this is connected to the RAF as well. The other thing I feel really strongly about this lady, that there's a Dutch connection. And I know there's a Holland or I don't think it's Denmark, but there's a Holland-Dutch connection. I feel there's family or records of family connection with this family. The Dutch connection, sorry.
Yes, could be.
Yeah, and I do feel there was some kind of displacement with family around the war. And I believe the way she's talking is if that would be known to this person. I also hear the name, okay, we've been talking about Margaret Thatcher, but she literally has just given me the name Margaret that connects to her. I also feel that this lady has a sister as well. I think that Margaret was more Margie or Marge or Margie. Have you got any more, Monique?
Well, I'm trying to pick up the age. I'll see at a certain age, and as I draw, they'll get younger or older. So I feel that as I'm drawing her, this is around the time when she's just retiring, I feel. And the connection, the nationality connection you're making could explain why I'm getting a blonde hair. So let's see.
Because it sounds like Arjun. And I'm trying not to make it fit with what I know about Holland. Arjun or
Right.
Arkin. There's a name just like that.
And do you and I do feel, and I wrote in the notes here, I feel that this message pertains, I don't want to narrow our options, but I'm feeling there's a daughter.
Yes, absolutely.
There's a daughter here she's for. So yeah.
Absolutely. There's definitely a daughter connection here. Possibly even granddaughter. So I keep hearing Dutch names as well that connects to this lady. What sounds like Wilbur or Wilbur. Is again, I'm not au fait with Dutch names.
But she was from the UK. Do you feel, Paul? Like I see her.
I do feel there's a UK connection, but I feel whether she was displaced and moved over to the UK,
I
there's
see
something about the Second World War and displacement.
Yeah. I'm just trying to feel where she was doing her business, because she was a businesswoman.
Yeah, I felt that she had connections with London.
Okay, there
She
you
was
go.
connected to London. But then I also feel that this lady would have moved out to the suburbs later in her life.
She was well respected too with her work, very competent. If anybody feels that this woman resembles anybody they know, please feel free to just text.
Because I keep seeing the family home, and I see this. It's like a 3-bedroom with bay windows. I don't want to say it's a terrace because I see it as detached. But I keep feeling there's a connection with Wimbledon as well with this lady. And this is really strange. I feel that her partner or her father played an important role in the Second World War.
Very attractive lady.
I do feel this was really quite important as well. I'm not sure whether her father was a part of the resistance, but there's a real connection here, family tree, family history. I've never had anything like this on Spiritual Talk before. It's a really interesting connection. And we've had this before when I've given messages and people have not taken it. Someone will watch it and they'll come back, oh my gosh, that was my auntie, or that was my grandmother. Her father was important in the war effort in terms of what I was saying about espionage. But it was more... what do they call that? Counter insurgent stuff, where they blow up railway lines and that kind of stuff.
Yes. Now I feel her. I'm adding. I can feel myself adding age to this lady now.
Yeah.
As I draw, because I feel that the recipient would recognize her better visually if she was a little older. That's what I'm feeling from this lady here now.
Yeah. I'm not even watching at the screen, so I don't even know if anyone can take this information. But we've got this lady through, lovely. So if you're watching this on catch up, guys, it'd be great to let us know if you understand this connection. And it happens. I do feel there's a birthday as well that connects, a 42nd birthday. I do feel for the granddaughter or the daughter, but a 42nd birthday I'm feeling is really important at the moment. Also getting the name Frank that connects to this lady. I might actually take the Wimbledon back because I keep hearing a slightly different variation. I'm trying to sound out the place in London. It could be Wilmslow, so I'm sorry. I don't know London very well. That's a great portrait. That's a great. So I don't even know if we've got comments that come up, guys. Have they? No, that's a shame. Can anyone take this information? You recognize this image?
Yeah, definitely. There's a presence there with this lady.
Yeah. Do you get the Dutch connection? Do you get the Second World War?
Yeah, definitely. For me as a Canadian, I feel the European background there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel there's the more I'm trying to fit into this and get more information from this lovely lady. I also hear what sounds like a Marianne or Marianne. Well, I can't believe it, Monique. It's almost time up already. We should do this.
That's right.
We should do this we should just come on and just do like a couple of hours or an hour or so, Monique. We should do this, shouldn't we? Yeah. I know people love to see our work, so we should do that.
So I'm not sure why we're not hearing anybody yet, but definitely.
Yeah, no one's taking it, but that's okay because people do watch this on. I've had that before, Monique, when Auntie and I have given a message. Even someone's taken it, but then somebody else has come in with even better connections to that person, so it can happen. Yeah, thank you, Zoe. Yeah, it is amazing. Yeah, and Maria said, great idea. Great idea to come on and do some lives. Maybe we should try different platforms as well, Monique. We could be one of those modern teenagers where they do all the YouTube stuff. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Well, so I'm just going to round this message off. I want to bring love. It does feel to either a daughter or a granddaughter, this connection here.
Let's see if I can get any more evidence before we sign off.
Yeah.
I heard that. I wrote it at the top, as you can see, the name Elizabeth, if that means anything to anybody.
Okay.
Okay. I feel grandchildren, as you mentioned.
Yeah.
I'm seeing at least one grandson, possibly two. Okay. Very active lady, right up into her senior years, you know.
Yeah.
Proud mother, proud grandmother.
Yeah, it's a lovely connection.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, so we have almost run out of time, Monique. Can you believe that?
Yes, I'm beginning to realize that.
Yeah. I'll just also apologise to Trevor, because also I believe he could have taken the first contact and he was trying to come in. And I believe you guys are watching on YouTube, so I'm sorry you couldn't get on, because we tried to get you on a couple of times. So apologies for that. Thank you, everybody, for watching. And, of course, thank you to Christine Morgan. It was a brilliant interview. It was really, and obviously thank you to Helen, and also to Ed in the background, who's helping out the spammers this week and the posts. Oh, we just jumped out there, Monique. Oh, gosh, it's getting too close. There you go. It's not so close. So just before we go, it's opportunity for free reading.
Oh, yes.
I believe I had the lovely Anne I read for on Monday. She's lovely. She wrote me a review, so that was lovely. So I believe it's your turn, Monique. As we've got no guests here, shall I pick someone for you?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay, drum roll. Who would like a free reading? I'm going to go, as I've never seen Anne Hamilton before. Here she goes. Hello, Anne. You have 1.5 hour reading with Monique, and I hope you enjoy. Thank you for watching the Spiritual Talk, everybody. And it's that time. If you'd like to get in touch with myself, Anne, or Monique, actually, and we'll set up a time. And it's been great fun again, Monique.
It certainly has.
It really is.
Great guest we had today too.
And we have another great guest next week.
Oh, okay.
So look out for the posters. But this particular medium also had a near-death experience, which is fascinating.
Yes.
It's enthralling. So all we got left time to say now, Monique, is to see you all next week.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I will be here, Paul. Absolutely.
Yeah, me too. Stay safe, everybody, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you
for coming. Now. Bye, guys. Bye.
Hey, Paul.